Yeah.
Hi, Surya. Thanks for helping with my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Hello. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm a 15-year-old right now from India. I'm currently in the 11th grade, and my hobbies and what I usually do apart from my school stuff is I research about AI. I write articles, and from September 2022, I will be working on a 10-month long project slash internship with an organization called the Knowledge Society, TKS. I've interviewed, applied, done project works, and got accepted into it. Uh, so from September 2022, I will be working on that for around 10 months. Uh, Aside from this, also during my free time, I like to spend time with my family, go play basketball, and just relax.
Well, maybe you could help me with a question that my 11-year-old nephew asked me just the day before yesterday. He said, will robots take over the world?
That's a good question, and I've actually had this a couple of years ago when I asked the same question to my dad. So it depends upon what type of taking over you are talking about. So if they're going to replace humans, I don't think so, because even the more advanced the robots are, the more human security over robots will be enhanced. So I and even if there is like any, like, if there's any question that robots might take over the world, then I'm sure humans will not let that happen, and I'm sure humans will let that happen beneficial to humans only. So it's not like robots are going to take over the world and humans are going to suffer. So it depends upon what kind of taking over. Like, we're already seeing machinery take over many jobs right now. So that in one way is robots taking over. But that's not necessarily the negative impact, because even though that machinery is putting a lot of people out of jobs, it is putting millions of people in jobs. So it really depends upon what type of taking over you mean. But the general question, are robots going to take over the world? I'd say no.
It's kind of funny. I imagine a futuristic world where it's completely automated. Everything about life is completely automated. And maybe the robots don't like take over, but even after the humans disappear, they're still doing the things they were doing.
Yeah.
Um, well, what got you into AI research?
So that's a long slash funny story. So I'll make it a little short. So at around 13, we I started in a new school, and there we had an option to choose an elective subject between AI and IT, information technology. So I asked my dad, who was an already AI practitioner, and he suggested that I go with AI because, well, AI is the buzzing thing right now, and IT, well, I've looked at the curriculum which they're going to teach in IT, and it's just how to use Excel, how to use PowerPoint, etc. And I felt that AI would be a nice touch to whatever I'm going to learn. It's like a new thing. So I started with school AI stuff I learned in school, and then I really got interested in it, especially the material you find online, like medium.com. And there are many great publications, and there are many newsletters, and my dad keeps telling me about happenings in AI. So, and then I decided to explore some more, topics in AI and research myself. And then I came across the courses on data camp, which I've completed. They're not necessarily AI, they're like data science and machine learning. So that was about 2 years ago. Fast forward a little bit, I'm in 10th grade, 1 year from before now, and I completed like around 40 courses, and I think one or two certifications on AI, machine learning, deep learning, cloud computing, etc. And yeah, last year I started to write articles on medium.com about AI and technology. So yeah, I would say that is how I got into AI, just through the help of my father and through his wonderful advice.
Is there a particular application of AI that really interest you? Like, you got like self-driving, you have like AI that can be used for, um, in manufacturing and so many different ways. Is there some type of use of AI that really inspires and interests you?
So, yeah, one really fantastic application of AI, which really interests me and pushes me to go on researching and finding out more about it, is the application of AI with nanotechnology. Nanotechnology has not been around for that long in a developed stage, and it's slowly starting to catch the buzz. Like you can see in prestigious and renowned organizations and universities providing full grade masters in nanotechnology or bachelors in nanotechnology, PhD in nanotechnology. So it's kind of been like in the growing stage right now. And I feel like if you mix these two, AI, which is the buzzkill and booming right now, and it's an amazing tool, and nanotechnology, which is going to be the next booming tool, if you mix those two, I feel like that's a great combination, especially taking into consideration that you can make all sorts of wonderful things with it, because nanotechnology is such a vast concept, and you can, it's like it's from environment to computer science to art, it's to healthcare. You can use nanotechnology to make your healthcare better, make the healthcare system around the world better. um, so I feel like AI with nanotechnology is the one of the driving forces for me right now.
Yeah, I've heard some people talking about longevity and making us live longer. That maybe you could have like little nano-sized robots in our bloodstream that are constantly repairing and fixing us. Would that be an application of um, nanotechnology and AI, you think?
Yeah, so one application I've heard very frequently, which does sound promising, is small nano robots being inserted into the bloodstream, and they will fight and detect cancer cells and destroy specifically those cells and not hurt the healthy ones. Because right now in 2022, the cancer treatment system we have now is not very effective. It kills the cancer cells, but it kills also the healthy functioning cells. So in the future, what everybody's talking about and what sounds promising, what it looks promising, it might happen, and research is being done right now, that we employ a small nano robots into the bloodstream, where they use computer vision and identify the cancer cells and distinguish between cancer and non-cancerous cells and destroy the cancerous ones. So I feel like that's the most highlight of this bloodstream nanotechnology robots, because then people don't have to suffer with chemotherapy if they have cancer, or if they're battling with cancer. This would be a much safer and less harmful treatment to cancer.
And more targeted, actually. I get the bad guys and not everybody. It's like the difference between a gun and a bomb.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And then, wow, I'm just thinking about all the different ways that could be used. Well, I wanted to ask you some questions about space and the future of humanity. Did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts back to the moon?
So yeah, I did know about that. I've heard people talk about it. I've read a couple of articles here. I've read the news, and yeah, I do know that NASA is planning to send humans to the moon by 2024. And I feel like it's a really wonderful idea, because there's a lot of the moon which we haven't explored yet. It's just like the oceans. We've scratched like probably the surface of the moon and the oceans. So sending humans to the moon for research and scientific purposes is a great idea, and I think NASA is doing a good job carrying this out so far.
Do you know the last time we had people on the moon?
uh, I'm not quite sure about the date, but I think it was around when Neil Armstrong was on the moon, right?
Yeah, he landed in 1969, and the last time we had people
Yeah.
on the moon was 1972.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong.
Well, we had 6 landings on the moon between 69 and 72. Um,
Yeah.
haven't been back since. Well, not everybody thinks it's a good idea. Some people say, why are we spending this money to send astronauts to the moon when we have these problems on Earth? What do you think about that? How do you talk about that?
So the people who say this have a point, but they're not really understanding what they mean themselves. So the problems on Earth, they're not necessarily for every single person to work upon. Like every single person has to contribute, but the contribution is different for each person. So if example we have a plastic pollution on the Earth, you can't tell people who are trained in space travel or astronomy to help us get rid of plastics, because there are specific departments for each and everything. And if you take another example of not of the trees disappearing around the world, that is not a job for astronomers, and that is not a job for us, any example a software engineer. That is a job for a tree conservationist or a forest conservator. It's their job. We can help, but not so much that we have to stop other procedures like space landings, moon findings, etc., and help out, because there are many problems and there are many solutions, but we cannot take the problems only and focus on the solutions only and not focus on the advancement, because all of these procedures, moon landings, research, etc., are advancements, and they help us know that we are not alone, and they help us know more about the universe we're living in. So the problems are getting fixed. It's taking time, but I don't think they're in that dire of a situation that we need everyone on earth to stop focusing on what they're focusing on and figure out these problems. There are many startups also tackling amazing problems. Like I know a couple startups, they are tackling problems like solar panel efficiency, where the current efficiency in solar panels is around 20-30%, and they are aiming to do it. They're aiming to increase the efficiency of their solar panels up to 90%, so we can harness more sunlight and convert them into electricity more efficiently. So that's a great concept, and that's genius. Like that's also a problem which humans are facing, and that's a good solution to an even more efficient solar electricity form. So there are problems, there are solutions, but if everyone works together in their own way, we can surely conquer these problems. It's not like we all have to focus on the same thing at the same time.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, whenever you think about the future of humanity, like 200 years in the future, what do you think it'll look like?
So I don't, according to me, my opinion, there's not one, you know, path which humanity might follow. It depends upon what we do right now at this moment in 2022, what we do and what we continue to do. The future of humanity depends on that. If example you take the trash pollution and trash crisis of the world, if humanity takes a stance and says that no, we will not use plastic, we will not use, I don't know, like styrofoam, and we will only use recyclable or biodegradable materials, then the future of earth might be a cleaner and more greener earth. But otherwise, if you take example space advancement, if you take finding in 200 years we might colonize Mars, we might colonize the moon, we might find out ways to survive with less or no oxygen. We don't know. In that case, we will colonize Mars, we will colonize the moon, and who knows, probably other planets also. So the future of humanity is not one way. It is like it depends on the various streams on Earth, environment, and the future of Earth and environment, the future of Mars, and our conquering and establishment of civilizations on Mars, etc. So the future does look promising, and there are some problems to tackle with, but it's looking promising.
So you're hopeful. You would like to live in the future.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it.
Um, are there things that you think we could do to make the future even better?
Yeah, so there are many things humans right now can do to make the future a better place. And again, it depends on many different factors, environmentally and astronomically, mathematically, scientifically. So there are many under recognized people around the world. So you might think the great scientists are those who win Nobel Prizes, or are those who discover important formulas, or those who help solve a big problem. But the word big problem is a relative word. Something big for you or something big for another person might not be big for me. And something big for me might not be big for you. So there are many unrecognized geniuses around the world, and recognizing them and honoring them, not just the ones who come up in the spotlight. The ones who don't come up in the spotlight or can't come up in the spotlight, we should recognize them also. uh, I feel like this is one of the good topics we should focus about. And uh, and about colonizing other planets, we should also take into consideration that we colonize them and we maintain those planets like how they're supposed to be naturally, and we don't litter them, we don't destroy them also. Recently, I think I'm not sure about the organization, but space organization has found human litter on Mars, like pieces of metal, styrofoam plates, glasses and cups. And that those could happen only because of the people who go there. So if we are starting this littering problem in Mars also before we fully colonize it, then it's not looking too good. We should take care of where we live. We should clean up after ourselves, and we should make sure that we leave naturality as it is. We should not disturb how nature works, and that seems like a good idea, to not disturb nature. We should leave things as it is. We can live, we can explore, and we can research, but we should leave it as it is.
How do you both preserve Mars and build a city on Mars at the same time?
So preservation and civilization and colonization might seem like contradicting terms, but they're not really contradicting if you look in terms of rational thinking. So preservation on Earth, we are colonizing Earth, but we are preserving it also. So if example, in 200 years we might colonize Mars, in that case we should make sure it doesn't uh, be filled with litter, or we should make sure that Mars as a rock does not change its natural appearance. So we should not make sure that it doesn't change negatively in the form before we colonized it and after we did it. Before we did it, if Mars was normal, and after we did it, if Mars is bad, if there's litter, if it's more hotter there, or if anything negative happens, that is an issue. So there are many ways we can colonize Mars and preserve it. Like we can grow plants in our home and we can preserve them. We can grow plants around Earth and we can preserve them. We can grow buildings on Earth. We can build concrete jungles on Earth, but we can grow trees also. So similar thing with Mars. 200 years, I'm sure humans can figure it out. So I'd say this is one way where you can preserve and colonize Mars.
Um, if you could, would you take a trip to space?
Uh, Sure. I mean, why wouldn't you? I think the biggest constraint now is the expenses. I'm sure a lot of people, most of the people on Earth can't afford a space trip. Uh, I think a company has come up with a ticket to space where they'll put like a hot air balloon sort of thing in space and you can see it. I think the ticket is around 1000 USD. So we are getting there. And if you're asking me if I would take a trip to space, sure I would. Who wouldn't want to? But it depends upon if I can and if it's really necessary, or if I can afford it, and like many factors. So if you ask me, yes, sure, I would love to take a trip to space.
Uh, on your trip to space, is there anything particular that you want to do?
I want to capture good photos of the planets and bring sunglasses. I don't want to get my eyes damaged by the sun.
That sounds reasonable. Let me ask you this question. So imagine you or one of your descendants immigrates to Mars, and they've, it's 200 years in the future, so it's 2222, and it's your great 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 granddaughter is on Mars. She's in high school just like you are, but she's in history class doing a paper on the 2020s. So she's 200 years in the future, looking back at you now. What do you hope happens in this decade that's worth remembering in 200 years?
That's a good question. There's many things we've accomplished so far. I gotta say the most memory worthy thing is we conquered a huge pandemic. It's been eating away time, money, and lives of millions of people, and I mean millions of people. And we've conquered it, and I'm sure we will conquer it. COVID's not over yet, but I'm sure we will, and it's already looking promising. So one thing I'd look out for in the history books where people are learning about the 2020s is human if humans can stay together and if they can work together, they can achieve anything. So teamwork and collaboration, that is one thing I take away from the 2020s, because if every single person or most of the people have not followed sanitation protocols, if they have not wore a mask, if they have not maintained social distancing, if they have not contain themselves, if they have the virus, to allow the virus not to spread, to make sure the virus does not spread. If every single person has not done that, we would have not got rid of this virus. And if the amazing scientists in the world have not developed great vaccines, we would have not been immune to the virus. So if someone in the future or my descendants in the future are studying the 2020s as history, this is one thing which is worth remembering.
I I hope also this is the decade that we really start exploring space. And do you think that's a possibility that this is the decade where we truly open up space for humanity to go and participate?
That's a hard question to answer because the growth across decades and across years is sometimes exponential and it sometimes halts altogether because of some unseen force. Like example, 2019, people were doing what they're supposed to do. People were researching, people were documenting, people were traveling to space. But COVID came and 2020, 2021, nothing happened, almost nothing. Like people have been doing the work, but almost nothing. The progress has decreased significantly. So, yeah, in a decade's time, it looks nice because people are already doing so much. And, I think a decade's time is enough for people to solve problems and explore space more, because a decade's time is a lot of time.
Well, Surya, those are pretty much the questions I had for you. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Not really. I just wanted to thank you for doing this amazing project you're working on. I'm sure people who will take away stuff from this are thankful to you. This is an amazing project you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you especially for participating. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your evening and I guess see you around online.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.